Okay, clearly my perception and their reception not the same thing, and actually then having someone who's not necessarily an English specialist who's looking at going, what did you mean by that? And I was like, I didn't explain that, which is why they haven't done
So would you say there's an advantage to having a non-specialist?
Oh God, yeah, definitely. We've changed specifications on the new reforms, and we've been making seminal material for the exam board. So I've been sitting the exam alongside my students to make sure that the answers I'm producing are top marks, because that's the way that obviously I teach. But I've also had people from, I've had LAs and I've had SSC teachers coming to do it, because I want them to go through the process as a non-expert and go, do you know what, children are not going to be able to do question 3, they're just not, because I sit at question 3 and go, oh yes, thank you. And I think it's great, because this is my playing field, I'm having a lovely time, I need someone to look at me and go, what does that word even mean? Where has this come from? And the mock we've just done was on Wuthering Heights. Well, I've analysed the passage and the thing using loads of my knowledge from Wuthering Heights, and then actually looked at the question and went, I can't answer the question because I've gone too far beyond. So I was like, and then you look at somebody who doesn't know the book and you go, right, actually I need to cut out that paragraph and nip there. It's a really, really informative process.
So I find facilitating cross-department collaboration in secondary school, operationally and strategically, is difficult.
Yeah.
But the wins outweigh that. If you can make it, if you can actually get over the activation, and you're not just having a mathematics specialist critiquing your English lesson in a way you never think to have that comment, and then likewise you do the same with them. And that's a place to have English on English. But
well, I taught maths, and my last school lost about 3 maths teachers in the final half term group. And so if anybody's got any skills at all in maths and wants to have a go. So I did. But coming at it from an English perspective, the questions my students couldn't do were things like take 2 from A, because they were writing 2 minus A. They couldn't understand that subject inversion. Whereas an English teacher went, this is a sentence thing, they need to flip it round, they need to understand when they see taken from, they need to swap it. Well, that was linguistic, and obviously mathematicians went, well, clearly, it's obvious. And I was like, but it's not for someone who can't read the subtleties. And having that collaboration was really effective. And I think, having someone who was going, but what does that mean? But what does that mean? Was making the mathematician I was working with kind of come down to my level a little bit. And we don't often do that, I think, as professionals, particularly when we talk to other professionals in the team.
It makes an awful lot of sense, because you can do that.
Yeah. But it was great. it was great. I think everybody should have a go at teaching something they don't feel confident in, because then that makes you aware of how it feels to be a student.
I've never seen this as us, in which case the dynamic of the session will be more consultative and therefore more appropriate for each person, I think. Are you all from school?
No. Where you? I'm from Raycom, I'm from primary school, and we have used IRIS over the last year as well for a couple of different reasons. For we've been part of Film Club, and to develop, we've used lesson study in our school, and also as a way of looking at teaching, sort of evidencing teaching in the year 4 years. So it's kind of looking at what other ways of using IRIS in our schools.
I may deviate completely from my script based on your needs.
I'm Jenny, I'm from Davison High School in Worthing. We would love to be able to afford to do. So I've just come to see what's out there.
Absolutely. I believe there is an option that Iris connects with. You could use one of those on iPod. You get your own video and upload that, and still get the tools around it. I'm not sure whether it might be worth having a chat with them, because that's considerably less expensive. So, should we kind of make it more a consultation, so that rather than me just sticking to the script, you get what you want? I mean, I will do it kind of, it won't be a formal intro, but a semi-formal. That's me, that's my books, they're cheap and over there, that's the website, and this is the sequence. Did I go through that too quickly? No. This is a sequence of sessions. You folks, you went to the first one. Doesn't matter, because I've made them all stand alone. it's really the first and third are more just on coaching and mentoring. The second and fourth, if you were to pair them, would be the combination to look at, we've done video coaching, but how do we strategically and operationally make it have impact on pupils. So this session kind of focused on, well, to be honest, what you wanted to be focused on, innovative ways of using it, how to get started even without a kit, because you can quite easily do video coaching without any of the kit, and maybe the place that Oriel's at in terms of getting to that brilliant place where you can have a film club and you can say, how do I fix this to your colleagues? I can certainly look at that. I've got some actual protocols, some forms that you can use to guide your work with people. That's the kind of takeaway from this. Again, you don't need any of that kit to be able to use them. So hopefully that will be your practical win from here. I just want to show you a video that you can use when inspiring or at least stimulating discussion about video coaching. This is something that I remember seeing. You may remember seeing it from many years ago. Couldn't quite remember the title. I put the word out on Twitter, etc., and someone remembered it, and it was, like most things on YouTube, there's no sound to it, but it shows the power of perspective.
Should there be sound?
No. No. Anyone seen that before?
No, never.
I remember seeing that when, I don't know, 30 years ago, it must have been 19. But that is an extremely powerful way of showing power and perspective, which is exactly what video coaching gives you. But the most powerful thing is it's a preserved perspective. It's not just you are sitting in a different part of the classroom and saw some children doing something differently to the teacher. It's actually there so you can see it again. Now, the live in-ear coaching part, do you do that? Have you got the camera where you can
We've
live
got
in-ear coach?
facility to do it.
I've never done it because I think I'd giggle.
Okay.
Whether I would either have it in my ear and find that really distracting,
Mm-hmm.
or I don't think I could resist the temptation of saying something naughty down
We'd encourage that.
because I think that would be really fun.
Builds a coaching relationship,
Yeah.
especially when near something equally rude coming back.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would like to give it a go because I think there are moments when you're in the middle of explaining something and you almost need someone to go either, all right, you said it, stop now, because I'm the queen of the third explanation, or that road hasn't got it. You know, that would be really helpful. I just don't know if I could do it.
Well, for us in what I always argue is the world's greatest profession, because without this profession there aren't any other professions, therefore logically it has to be. Why should these professions be on Starship, obviously? Live in-ear coaching, that uhuru with that thing in her ear, it's not you, is it? But security services, sport, media have live in-ear communication so they can do their job more effectively. Why shouldn't we? Why is it so long coming? The technology is there, the will is there, but it does need some protocols around it. And you're quite right, 99 people out of 99 would say that how on earth can I teach when someone's talking in my ear? Because what you predict is that it's a constant chatter. What actually happens if you have a pre-meeting with your coach to discuss what's happening, then a 10-minute session, then a 10-minute debrief, is the coach over 10 minutes may say 100 words if you're lucky. Because those are the kind of things you've asked. You quite rightly said, could you keep an eye on the back row and use this trigger word to tell me if you don't think you're on task? So during a 10-minute session, you might hear the words back row, 3 or 4 times, and that's all it is. Sometimes though, you might have an extended dialogue because you've asked for it. So the pupils are doing group work, paired work. They know it's going on. They're very accommodating once they've waved to mum, etc. You go over here and just have a quiet coaching conversation, but in the session. That's the power of it. You can make changes as you're teaching. You can receive praise as you're teaching. Imagine that. You're doing something, you do it well, and someone you says, and you realise how good you are. That was so effective. You carry that for months, that feeling. So, just to recap, but introduce the folks who weren't in the previous session, there's this idea of coaching versus mentoring. Both can happen with either what we call asynchronous video, which is where you're both watching something that happened a while ago, or live video. If you're being coached live, you could have asked the person who's working with you to tell you what to do. AQTs quite often ask me, say, can you tell me if I'm talking too much? Can you make me wait more for answers? So that would just be a coaching comment, wait, and then account for me. Other folks may say, can you coach me? At a certain trigger point, can you ask me a question? And the question will be, are all pupils engaged with this task? So the coachee is reminded to ask about it. Kind of diagrams to summarise it. There's nothing wrong with this. This is just saying the difference. This is kind of traditional coaching and mentoring, where your coach may come into the lesson as kind of observer, just see what's going on and debrief afterwards. So the lesson happens, and you both have a memory of it, but it's a different memory. This is asynchronous coaching. So somehow the lesson is recorded, but the teacher and the coach have got the same memory of the lesson, so that the coachee can say, it's there, that's what I mean, and you both know what you're talking about. Live video coaching is this, where the coaching is the lesson. It actually happens right there and then. This is the Iris Connect camera. It's better to introduce it like that. It's less threatening, isn't it? And as I said to the previous group, key thing to have in place, I don't know whether you have this, I highly advise it if you begin with or without Iris, is to basically, if we do anything, have a contract. So everybody gets asked these questions before any coaching work starts. I can essentially slides so you can work on this if you wish. So there's co-negotiated rules, boundaries and expectations around coaching. Because quite rightly people go, well, if you're videoing, where's it going? And those are with Iris now, it's going only where you want it to because it's password protected. But if that's written down at the hand of the person who's worried and valued, then it can do quite a lot to assuage people's concerns. So, it's okay. It's muted for now. Yeah, because there's a. No, should we? You can hear this.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's why I have to have it on mute. Sorry, this is my card.
Just to recap, for those who know it and to introduce it to those who don't, this is a live, just a screenshot of a live session. The good old days of Iris Connect. This is kind of this is the comment bit, so that's me in my house in Winchester coaching one of my teachers in Slough. That's the power of this model, that you can coach from anywhere. I've coached teachers in Seattle, and I wasn't in Seattle, I was thousands of miles away. You can do it. I've got big aspirations to kind of around international development, to be able to coach teachers in India and Africa where it's needed without having to go there for a fraction of the cost. That's kind of my professional direction at the moment. But this is the old version of Iris Connect. Sadly, I can't leave video comments anymore. At the end of a coaching session where I wasn't nowhere near the school, I would leave a video comment summarising what the teacher had achieved. Comments in here. This is a beautiful sequence because this man here is an Ofsted inspector. And I was live coaching this teacher in this classroom during an Ofsted inspection. So of course, what do? You put in her ear, live, exactly what she has to do to be outstanding while she's being looked at to be outstanding. The trouble was though, I didn't have this guy's permission. So I very quickly had to, in ear to Sanan, very quickly had to say, can you ask his permission because we were recording? And he said, yeah, whatever, go for it. It's all about learning anyway. I class, one of the good guys. But it was fascinating to get an outstanding for that lesson, simply because I was down to her, but I dropped into her in all the things I knew she could do about engaging more pupils, showing progress, and it's a powerful thing to do. I've since done it again when I was in inspection, but it was different. Instead of writing notes and walking around and talking to children, the inspector at the back of the room looking through books. I don't know what it's like in secondary, that was primary. Have you had Ofsted?
Yeah, recently.
The nature of it is students have changed, so we're going to look at things that students have written, not engage with the students about what they're thinking. Sadly, is that your experience?
I don't know, they were so little. I think they were a bit book.
They were talking, what the inspector in my room did talk to children.
Okay,
So,
it's just
yeah.
a small sample on my
Yeah.
part.
And the inspector looked at a lot of the exercise books.
As well, yeah.
Right, that's both then.
Mm.
Okay. That's the platform. What I'd like to do really now is do this live. I don't think that live. I mean, I've got some pre-recorded video to share with you. It is in primary school, but what's actually, never mind, interdepartmental, interphase. I think some of the best collaboration I'd love to see is reception teachers with university lecturers, and they could both learn a bunch of stuff. So I've got four takeaways for you. One is what I call a first watch self-reflection, and the recommendation there is that the teacher records 5 or 10 minutes of themselves and watches it on their own. If I may give you the form that we'd use for that.
Is there a way that while you're filming, that you can sort of stop and start without having to go to the machine?
It has to be controlled from the laptop, but there is a way of muting if you go on that. So the stop and I don't think you can actually stop and start the recording unless you're running the live recording from a machine in your room.
Okay.
But you can mute and you can put a coat over the...
Sorry, no, so it's just thinking about doing the 10-minute bit that you actually kind of want. Is it? I think we
Well,
just film the whole
You have to
and
edit it
Yeah.
after.
A wonderful tool that they've now got is editing, and I've got sort of showcasing, so especially with NQTs, and now every half term for the thing that they're learning to do, that the final section at the end of the year, snip out 30 seconds from each hour of the thing you're doing. You can do that and run it together. Then you get 3 minutes showing how that NQT has grown. We call it a showcase. So you can, on the platform, snip any part of any video and add it into anything else and make a collage. It's a super way. I think with those NQTs now, that wasn't finished, they're just continually adding to this as kind of this is how my career is developing. It's a really neat way of doing it.
That's how we used it for our final. We did a show reel at the end. So instead of a formal observation this term, we had a listen study earlier in the year. So we had to edit and clip a number of clips as a show reel of this. These are all the things that we are now doing because of that lesson study we had earlier in the year. This is what I'm now doing. So it had to be sort of between 15 to 20 minutes in total, but from any number of...
Now, I'm interested in this. Was that compiled from lots of different teachers? How did you do that?
Oh no, from not lots of different
Okay.
teachers. Each teacher did their
Right.
own, and then shared it with head and deputy who commented.
But you made a show reel of you, but then those show reels were shared.
Yeah.
Very good. I think, I might talk to Iris today, but I think there's a way, with the right contracts, trust, permissions in place, of taking a snip from each person who's willing to do it and putting that into a school collage. Say, this is what our school is about. But as always, it's always an opt-in. And if you don't opt in, you are as valued as if you do opt in. That's the way it kind of works. So I recommend that the coachee watches their 10 minutes, 5 minutes first and fills out this form. And in a moment, we're going to watch 5 minutes of a reflection from a different school and actually do that, to actually use this form. This would be something we would then do. Watch it again, but with a coach. So this Second watch. The reason this seems to work is it's a bit of an ask, especially the first time you work with someone, to both be watching the video for the first time. It allows the coachee to be prepared and to have the choice of whether they do actually use that video, because with Iris Connect you can delete it if you wish. I'm not happy sharing that as my first watch, I'm going to get rid of it. I'll very quickly talk through these, and then the key thing I want to do is actually us work on some video to try out these protocols. The pre-coaching dialogue, now this is when you're planning to do a live session. This is before you go anywhere near the equipment. And the post-coaching debrief is what you would do after the session. And it's very detailed. My recommendation, as with all of these protocols, is you make it your own. You don't have to stick to either the order or the order of these, but these are the prompts which can help guide the conversation with your coachees. So I'm going to try out the first watch, but I'd like to introduce a tool called Bagel Thinking, which is a powerful collaborative tool which can be slotted into Film Club to accelerate it and enrich it. So we'll need to, if you wouldn't mind, all sit round a single table. It will be probably advisable if you put this table with this one, if we spread ourselves around it and take you through this.
That could have gone so wrong.
So this is Bagel Thinking.
What do you need?
Black pen, pen somewhere. Just a pen, black.
Do you want my flip chart?
So, the idea is you each have space in which you write. Where do I need to put another line? There. So that gives space, that short space. So what we do in this is I'll show you a short clip of a teacher working with a small group, and then in your space write down what the teacher does and the teacher says, and what the pupils do and what the pupils say. What's happening here though is you are individually over a very short period of time putting your own specific reflection down. That's the first part of this tool. Then we have time for you to sweep round. So each person very quickly says what they've seen, what they've heard, and you find out, just like the previous short Guardian clip, that everybody's seen something different. But it values equally, because of the way this is set up, it values equally people's perspectives. When people are sharing, there's a rule in place that they're not interrupted. But that's what this space is for. That's where you would write down your responses that you would have said if people weren't given uninterrupted talk time. And finally, you reach a decision in the middle. Now this really can accelerate, formalise and record film club work. Especially if you've got 30 people in the room, each working like this, and those are photographed and given to the person. That is such a rich, powerful way of doing improvement. So the only functional difficulty here might be your ability to see and write at the same time. So are you okay? Insured for neck bricks and things. So as I'm going to have to move this slide, so I can show you the video. Do you just want to jot down those questions? You've probably got it sooner what we're doing. The context is, I don't know, MQT I'm working with, who's got a small group, just basically a writing task. No other context than that, because I want to see what you make of it. What does the teacher say and do? What do people say and do? And is there anything else? And that's a community thing. Okay. It was a slow start to the lesson. Do you need to put some more money in the...
In the event lesson.
It might be worth going small screen and waiting for it to start. Try refreshing it.
Pedal faster.
It's going to go there. I'll just refresh the page.
Sorry,
There it is.
it's quite temperamental.
Is that the wiring in this room? Or do you think that's just general?
I think it's just me.
So we'll start, okay? So what can I start my sentence with? Yes. Or can you use one of mine? Instead of have yours. So what is it going to be? It's going to be amazingly. Oh, what do I need after my pointed adverbial? I need a comma. Okay, amazingly, what was her name? PC Clark. So amazingly, PC. Oh, can I ask you a question? Why have I done a capital letter there with PC Clark? The name. So it's a proper noun. Okay, PC Clark. So amazingly, PC Clark. Told us about, oh, okay, wait. Told us about a crime scene. Okay, oh, so amazing, let's read it together, ready, 1, 2, 3. Amazingly, PC Clark told us about a crime scene. Oh, so 1, 2, 3. Oh, stop. Okay, so amazingly, PC Clark told us about a crime scene. Okay, told us about a crime scene. What crime scene?
A crime scene about when we visited getting murdered.
Okay, what was it? Stop quick. Okay, so put this into a sentence. What can we start my sentence with? So amazing, PC Clark told us about a crime scene. You had a look. You said investigate. So he told us we need to investigate. So what do I start a sentence with now? He told us.
I think it's a bit better.
Oh no, he told us. Who did he tell? He told year.
Year 3.
He told year 3
About
that
the
we needed to
investigate the crime scene.
we needed to investigate.
Right, so I'm going to pause it there because it's the quality not quantity. We could go on for 23 minutes if you want.